You know you love an artist when you have designed 2 shirts and counting that have been inspired by that artist's work. I got my Dance in the Light t-shirt on today that was inspired by Hiren. Then I was in big sis mode and that inspired my Hold My Earrings collection. That's when you know you appreciate and care for an artist. And as you guys know, I do. Ren is my brother from another mother and I am behind on my Ren reactions. What does your love look like? Featuring Ren with an artist named Token. His YouTube handle is Token Hip Hop. He is an American rapper and singer. We are the products of what we see.
I'm not right for you, but I'm just what I should be. You try to change me, I try to change you. We never change, do we? What does your love look like? 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 As much as I do wanna love you, I feel like we're speaking two different languages. Your house had a gate and mine had instigated, so that's the environment we feel safer in. You thought it was crazy how long that it took me to tell you I love you, like that was the weirdest. I only heard dad say I love you with mom in the room when he went back to singing his lyrics. So how could you blame me, cause you always choose to. You always choose to. You wanna know where I be at all the time, but that's not what I'm used to. Not what I'm used to. You knew where your dad was at work or he's home when he's taking the load off. I didn't know where until 1:24 the day I got that phone call. And I let the phone drop. I'm trying to be my best to be a gentleman. I'm trying to learn, I never had the chance. I still look to my manager, but he gon' teach me how to be a rapper before a good man. I grew up afraid to find a letter on mama's dresser telling us goodbye. I'm used to it all, so you don't gotta hold back and cry. But I gotta tell you why I'm not right for you, but I'm just what I should be. You try to change me, I try to change you. We never change, do we? What does your love look like? What does your love look like? What does your love look like? What does your love look like?
I'm not right for you, but I won't get up and leave. Cause I hate the pain that has colored my veins, that is present in solitary. What does your love look like? Does it look black and white? Is it your kryptonite? Do all your demons get louder at night and the voices get softened when we're intertwined? I've been going to therapy lately, cause the cause and effect made me hate thee. The way that I feel when the loving gets real, cause I just wanna run and escape thee. Pressure that paints me, pressure of safety, pressures of promises that turn to maybes, pressure of bravely moving in the same direction. The pressure been driving me crazy. So my therapist said that these wounds that I kept were created when I was a kid. And just like that, all my thoughts raced back to a Welsh town, 96. My mother was crying, my father was screaming and shouting, denying the sin of deceiving and cheating and lying. The weeds are uprooted, the garden is dying, but still she forgives. This cycle repeats, every night I try to sleep, hearing the screams through concrete, mothering peace, a vision of love, a lesson that fused with the cells in my blood, a lesson that taught me that love ain't enough and that love can be porcelain when times get tough. Flash forward 5 years later, sitting in the passenger seat of my dad's car with my maker. My dad looked shaken, turned to face him, the words that he spoke cutthroat like razor. He said, Ren, sometimes love can be complicated, navigating a world that we co-created. And I've made mistakes, but I will love you daily. And just like that, it's just me, my mum and my sis. The stress left mum disabled for a bit. I grew up fast then, cause I gotta be a new Ren. Strong for my sis and my mum at a loose end. Confused but moving through the confusion, when raw new love feels fake like What does your love look like? Does it tear your inside? Does it keep you up at night? My brother. Does it make you feel like a fist in your windpipe? Suffocate the feeling of what love's meant to feel like. Navigating you, but I'm still not quite right. One night stand, make the pain stop one night. One more heart to the blade of my cold knife. What does your love look like?
You realize how hard that I work and you told me you feel for me. If I lost all my motivation tomorrow, would you still love me? It's easy to love when I'm up, when I'm down and you leaving. You can't even give me an answer cause you never seen it, and that's why it's hard to believe it. If you need help but I'm too far away, is it over for you? Maybe I'm just not the person for you, even though I still could be the soul for you. Maybe we are meant to be together, but our history got in the way. Your trust issues, my fear issues, too many issues at play. You yell fast, I get quiet, you wanna see more passion. I've seen what real yelling can lead to, so no, I don't have it. I grew up afraid to see holes in the wall in a room that was locked from inside. I promise I'm used to it all. You don't gotta ever hold back and cry, but I gotta tell you why I'm not right for you, but I'm just what I should be. You try to change me, I try to change you. We never change, do we? What does your love look like? What does your love look like? What does your love look like? What does your love look like?
Oh my word. Knox Hill in his reaction titled this one. I see the thumbnail here on the side. Go check out his reaction, his breakdown. Calls it the collab of the year. I dig that because I think this really is good ain't the right word. First of all, Token. I had no idea who this is, so go check him out on YouTube. Token Hip Hop is the YouTube handle, and his flow, his the timbre of his voice, his style of rapping, I dig it. There's something melodic about it. There's something, dare I say, almost sultry, lower range in his vocal performance. But the lyrics are real. They hit hard. His cadence flow, his bars, it goes hard. This guy's got skill. And then obviously, you know Ren. I know Ren. We love Ren. And he always adds such a unique flair. And I appreciate that about whenever he's featured on anything, that he is not morphing into what this other artist is, but brings in his own touch. So from a musical standpoint, I'm going to have to break this down so I don't ramble into all kinds of directions. Number one, the musical composition was dope. That track, I love the crescendo in this when the beat dropped. But as Ren's music, and now it turns out, I guess Token's music would have it, it's not just the kind of music where you listen to some cool bop and it plays in the background. It's a song that really commands your attention. Drop your comment below and let me know what love looks like for you. What does it mean for you? But the authenticity of this song, the storytelling is amazing. Ren's the king of storytelling anyways, but I love how Token was doing the same thing, because there's this flow, there's this relatability to then Token being in the room alone. And I can interpret that subjectively. Obviously, maybe that was just to mix up the music video. Maybe that was just to bring it back to the artist on whose YouTube channel this is. For me, it was symbolic because you're seeing this collab of two people working together, ping-ponging ideas, storytelling off of each other about the concept of love, to the crescendo and the drama of the emotional aspect of this guy breaking up with this girl, this dad walking in trying to comfort the woman, the wife, and not knowing how to, and retrieving the lyrics speaking about one person yelling, the other becoming silent. Very, very human things they were describing here that so many people go through. And I think we forget often how much we're not alone, actually, how common it is, how hard relationships are, first of all, but also how common it is to have those dynamics where one person is more the one that retrieves or shuts down or stonewalls sometimes, or just withdraws to process internally. The other may be the one who is yelling or trying to process externally. Our emotional world, the way that we perceive the world, our whole emotional intelligence and construct is shaped by how we grew up and what we saw. And when you enter a relationship, a friendship with somebody, you're merging two different worlds. And the way that you look at the world, the way you process emotion, the things you value are completely different. When it comes to conflict, when it comes to two people trying to live life together, a lot of times that's where it clashes, because what I value and what is almost common sense for me, that's what you do because that's what I saw done. For you might be the opposite. That's what you don't do, or you value other things. The song portrays to me the deep pain, and that's why this is so relatable, has me in tears, that deep pain of two people that do love each other, but that are having a hard time reaching one another. It's so relatable. And it makes me think of James Blunt's songs Monster and Alex Sloan song Older, where it talks about this, where you go from looking at your parents, for example, as the parent, and now understanding they're just two people navigating through life. They don't know what they do. And that comes with two sides of the coin, right? As I've gotten older, I understand my parents better, and I empathize with how hard marriage can be and how complicated relations can be and how hard it is to parent, etc. But then the other side of the coin is also that now I go, okay, I got to do better, and I wouldn't have done this or that, and I got to try to break generational cycles. I'm not right for you. I'm just what I should be. That dynamic of this is not working. I'm not right for you. Clearly, I'm not giving you what you need. You don't feel seen, heard, or loved, or something's not right. But I'm just what I should be. Because acknowledging that includes an acceptance of self. It would be unhealthy to say, I'm not right for you. Let me completely morph and change. That won't last very long either, because either resentment will build because you've changed for the other person, or you will find yourself feeling empty because you're not being true to who you are. And there's an element I'm seeing here of acceptance that says, I'm what I should be. My story, being a child of divorce, having experienced trauma and abuse, whatever it may be that made you part of your story, has made you you, and it's who you should be. And so there's that duality of relational elements with others, but also with oneself, and the need to accept and say, I'm who I should be. This is me. You tried to change me. I tried to change you. We never change, do we? And that is powerful, because that often is, I think, where a lot of tension in relationships arise, is that we have expectations. There's theories about how we may pick a partner that has certain characteristics of our parents or caregivers, and we subconsciously pick that partner in hopes that they could fix the wounds that our parents or caregivers caused. But ironically, because they are similar to them, they now reinforce that pain and hurt us similarly. That's a theory. Doesn't mean that that's always the case. But I do think we have these tendencies to want to change the other, but we never change. We continue in these patterns and habits. What does your love look like? What does your love look like? This is a very personal question. It doesn't just ask what is love. And the answer to that would vary, obviously, from person to person. You got phrases like love is love. You got statements such as love is not a feeling, it's a verb, it's action, right? I think that there's a time and place for both, for us to both understand that love is a concept that's really hard to grasp, right? How can you control when you feel love for someone? But there's also a time and place to say, no, you got to love and forgive and do what's right, even when you don't feel like it, right? There's both in life. Also, as we go through life, a child or a young teenager feeling in love is going to have a very different outlook than someone 50 years old, years into their marriage. As much as I do want to love you, I feel like we're speaking two different languages. That phrase is so poignant because if we were to literally speak two different languages, we would understand why we're missing each other. If I spoke German to you right now, und du verstehst nicht, was ich sag, du bist total verwirrt. Now let's hope you don't understand German, otherwise you're like, I know exactly what you're saying. Let's say you didn't speak German, you have no clue what I'm saying, right? We would literally be missing each other and that would cause frustration and confusion. Or if we really knew, well, it's obvious we don't understand each other, we may be aware of the problem now and find a solution. And maybe we would show more empathy towards each other. And you would go, okay, thank God for Google Translate. Let me look up a book. But when it comes to relationship, a lot of times we speak two different languages, but we don't realize it. That's part of the dilemma. If I spoke a different language to you, you may get frustrated, but you may have more understanding because there's a solution now. When we are in relationship, a lot of times we speak two different languages because we are two different people. Our own universes, our own years of life that we've lived before we met our significant other, and a whole worldview, what I value, what I grew up with, what I deem as normal, and what I now expect of my spouse may be light years different from what he experienced. And when we don't know that it's a different language, that's where I think a lot of frustration kicks in because it's you love each other, but you're missing each other and you don't know why. Your house had a gate and mine had instigated. And the cadence flow here, the bars, the wordplay, beautiful as always. It happened several times. I don't know if you saw in my facial expression. A gate and instigated, beautiful wordplay. But psychologically speaking, I think it implies this being guarded. It has a gate. Mine had instigated. Okay, one person is instigating, maybe poking, maybe looking, trying to connect. The other is gated and guarded. That's how we feel safe. I feel safe by talking it through, or I feel safe by withdrawing or by being guarded, whatever it may be, right? You thought it was crazy how long that it took me to tell you I love you. So how could you blame me? Because you always choose to. Ooh, you choose to. And you know, this is interesting to use those words, you choose to, because this is where maybe this concept of everything's a choice and the things we do, we choosing to do. Well, on one hand, it's, hey, you can't blame me. This is how I was born. This is all that I know. But at the same time, telling her, you choose to blame me. And that's an interesting dichotomy here because on one hand, it's saying, it's not my fault that I am the way that I am, but saying to this other person, it is your fault that you are the way that you are because you're choosing to do this. And that's part of where the language misses, right? That's where we miss each other. We assume the best about our own intentions. We assume the worst about the other. Can I be brave enough not just to now sit there and go, well, tough love. That's how I am. Take it or leave it. Can I be brave enough to say this is who I am? I am who I am supposed to be. But also, let's try to learn each other's languages. I love you enough to go to therapy. I love you enough to listen to you without trying to respond, but just for the sake of listening. I love you enough to sit there humbly and to acknowledge my own anger and to work on me. It's hard work, guys. I'm in the middle of it. I promise you, it's hard work. But I also do believe it's doable. Ideally, if you have a partner, a spouse that is willing to do the same. Ooh, wow. I see here, this phrase makes me see what I think is the case in a lot of men and women, that longing for a mentor, that longing for someone to show me how to be a good man or a good woman. A lot of people in our lives will be quick to show us how to be a rapper, how to be the best at our skill, because maybe that's what they're getting paid to do, right? But a lot of people are not getting the guidance of a father or a mother or a mentor. What does it mean to be a husband? What does it mean to be a wife? What does it mean to be a son and a daughter? And then Ren says, I'm not right for you, but I won't get up and leave. That's a powerful statement too, because it shows that, what does this imply? That I'm going to do the work or I'm just sticking it out because that's what I learned to do. Because in Ren's story, it was about a dad who had to have that hard talk and say, hey, I got to leave, but I love you still. And a kid now left behind. And maybe children that experience that now try to double down and say, I'm not going to be like my parents. I will stay. And then sometimes they stay in unhealthy situations because contrary to the person that has all their walls up and won't let anybody in. Sometimes another way of responding to pain is by pursuing, loving, being loyal, chasing people down and trying to be so different than the person that abandoned you. So much relatability here. Oh my gosh. I feel like if you've ever loved someone or you're married or you're in a relationship, you know what this feels like. This, oh my gosh. Muddling peace. A vision of love, a lesson that fused with the cells in my blood. Not real love, tangible love, right? A vision, something that is hard to grasp, hard to come by maybe. A lesson fusing with the cells in my blood. That's poignant because when we look at trauma and at the things that shape us, they do fuse with our blood, don't they, right? There's theories on how trauma affects DNA or how it affects, even throughout generations. Theories aside, it's experience, right? Where we know what it's like to go through stuff and feel like those lessons fused with our blood. It becomes part of us. It's not just this little lesson that we carry around with our backpack and we can put it down anytime we like. The words that he spoke cut throat like a razor. He said, Ren, sometimes love can be complicated, navigating a world that we co-created. And I've made mistakes, but I will love you daily. The stress left my mom disabled for a bit. Navigating new, but I'm still not quite right. When I'd stand, make the pain stop one night, when my heart to the blade of my cold knife. I like the fact that he's even bringing in the one night stand because in our modern day, I think that's where a lot of people are looking for love. Sometimes they're just looking for some fun, but I think deep down, a lot of people are lonely and hurting, and it may, for some, make the pain stop for one night. Another heart to the blade of a cold knife, right? And I think just these different elements of the story here, of personal experiences that show me that we're not alone. There's a lot of people hurting. There's a lot of people who are so changed by the things that they've seen and experienced, and that disillusionment we experience when we go from childhood through our adolescent years to adulthood, where what love looks like changes, and where we have to make a choice, though, right? To deal with the pain, to be honest about the language we're speaking, and to ask ourselves, okay, who am I? Can I love me? Can I accept me? But can I also be better? Can I also change? Am I willing to do the work? Am I better off alone? Am I better off if I stay? And not only learning to love other people well and being willing to do the work, but loving ourselves enough to be for ourselves, for that younger self, what they would have needed. That question that I want to end with, which is, what does your love look like? What does it mean to love yourself and to love others, and to love others well enough to say, you know what? I'm going to do the work to heal, to both accept that I am who I am. What has happened to me is part of my story. And I guess I wouldn't change it, because then I wouldn't be me, and I wouldn't be able to help people and empathize with people and speak into other people's lives the way that I can. But at the same time, also saying, okay, I got to do the work. I can learn another language, and I can love me, and I can love other people. What a powerful song. Gosh, there's so many things we could talk about. Subscribe and tell me what you're thinking. Heavy, man. Beautiful collab, though. Hats off, dudes. Amazing. Talk to me in the comments. I'll see you on the next ride.